Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Tayler Yarish Show. Here we are, coming in hot right away with some breaking news. A lot of artists are demanding that their music be taken off Spotify because of Joe Rogan. They're kind of pitching like an ultimatum with Spotify being like, listen, you either take off my music or his podcast, and that's just how it's going to be, you know? Neil Young, Jody Mitchell, and I just read, this was crazy, that in his will, Meatloaf put that he wanted his music taken off Spotify. That was a bit of a shocker to me that he put it in his will. I was like, wow, that's crazy. I mean, it's happening from all angles, you know, all these artists. Yesterday, I went to a psychic medium. I went to try and contact some old dead relatives, and the psychic was like, listen, I'm not getting any relatives, but this is so strange. The artist formerly known as Prince is contacting, and he said he wants his music removed from Spotify. I was like, whoa, this is getting out of control. I mean, all these people that want their music removed because of a comedian. It is very strange. And you know what? I agree. I think that if Spotify doesn't remove Joe Rogan, if they don't remove his podcast, I hate to say it, but I'm going to remove my podcast from Spotify, you know? So I think I solved it. Good luck. Good luck, Spotify, okay? I'm jumping on board, and I'm presenting an ultimatum. You can have the Tayler Yarish Show, or you can have the Joe Rogan Experience, and you can only have one. So choose wisely, Spotify. I'll be hearing from your people, I'm sure. Yeah, a lot of people, you know, upset. And I get that if they're upset because if he said something that was not true, let's say. But I don't know. I don't understand why you just don't. Why don't you just not listen? Is that an option anymore? Can you just not listen to something that you don't like or you don't think is true or agree with? First of all, I don't think anybody listens to him because they think he's correct about medical information. I don't think that's it at all. And that seems to be what people are getting wrong. I think people listen to him because he just comes across as, like, I think that he's basically like the media's new Trump. That's kind of the vibe. You know what I mean? Like he's this guy, except it's on a way worse level, right? Because he's not the president. He's just a fucking. He's a guy who runs a 2-man operation. Him and his podcast producer, and he talks to people that he wants to talk to, and a lot of people enjoy it, and they think it's very harmful. Now, he said a lot of crazy shit on his podcast. Yeah, sure he has. He's not a highly educated individual. He's a comedian. I mean, he's going to say a bunch of crazy shit. But again, he's not a president. He's not enacting any policy, you know? So, I don't know. The idea that like somebody's going to listen to him talk about whatever, and then all of a sudden, if they're going to change their whole fucking, you know, like, and if they do, those people are going to do that anyway. They're going to do that about fucking anything, you know? So, I don't know. Because he says if you're young and healthy that, you know, you probably don't need to get vaccinated. Is that harmful? I don't know. Let that be the decision of the listener, I guess. I think that's what we forget. Like, every person who listens to anything is themselves like an individual, you know? That's, you know, it's like you're lumping all those people into groups. That's why I don't like saying, oh, Democrat, Republican. It's like I'm the fucking person, you know? It's complicated. I'm all over the map here. But it's definitely got a different tone because of the this whole thing about misinformation, right? You're saying the wrong thing. This is not true. This is false advertising, if you will. I don't know. When have we ever given a shit about misinformation, you know? Or like false, or like presenting one thing when it's not true. That's, you know, like you ever go to McDonald's, you get a Big Mac, and then you look inside the bag, you're like, this isn't what it looked like. I think this is, you know, this Big Mac is misinformation. That's what this is. But then you might say, oh, well, you know, that doesn't hurt anybody. The type of information he's spouting is hurting people because he's advising or he's sharing his ideas that can be seen as harmful. Goes against what the doctors say. We care that other people might get hurt. Since when? That's another thing. Since when have we ever given a shit about people who get hurt? You know what I mean? Like, if you want to say that somebody says something on a podcast and then you kind of like the ripple effect, they listen, they make an action that then affects them, that because they made that action that affects another person, and then that person gets sick, and it's like, you know, you could say that about, you could do that whole ripple effect about anything. You could do it about healthcare. I don't have insurance right now. You know, who knows? I could get really sick from something. Doesn't even have to be COVID, and I don't have the insurance to go to the doctor to get the proper medicine. And then if it's a viral thing, I could spread it to somebody, and then that person gets sick. It's like, you know, we've gone around this thing before. We don't care about, like, people getting sick. We think is worse than people getting hurt. You know, like we see people get hurt all the time, and it's a lot of the time it's funny. I mean, that's 90% of America's Funniest Home Videos. It's just people getting hurt. Some guy getting hit in the balls, someone crashing a bike, you know, somebody just getting creamed in the head with something, just people falling. I mean, people falling, it's like one of the funniest things ever. I could hear the most brilliant joke ever. I could be like, that's hysterical. And then I'll see somebody trip, and it's hysterical. And I think, you know, throughout history, people have certainly died from falling. Absolutely. You slip on some black ice, you know, you go down, you take a hard fall. I think, you know, and I think that's killed, I don't know, I haven't looked it up, probably millions of people. But it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like a problem. Ironically, it kills pretty much the same people as COVID, old and overweight, you know? Big tree fall hard, that kind of thing. But I don't know, we just don't look at it as like a bad you know why I think like COVID is, and sickness in general is just it's so terrifying? It's because we can't see it. That's why it's a worse thing. If you can't see it, you can't film it and put it on YouTube. And that is no good. There's no entertainment value in a sickness. If there was an epidemic somehow of people just tripping everywhere, you know, I don't know if we'd have the same attitude. Because think about it, like some people, a lot of people, right, get COVID. Pretty much everyone that I know that has gotten COVID, it's been very minor. Hasn't been a big deal. But then there's some people where it's very, very serious. It's very strange. You don't always know how people are going to react. If you're very, very old, it'd be very bad for you to get it. Same thing if you're severely overweight, you know, all the comorbidities. And that's the same thing as a fall. If there was somehow like an epidemic of people falling, I wonder how we would treat it. You know what I mean? Because like, let's say your buddy gets COVID, and it's kind of a minor case. It's kind of whatever. It's not funny. It's not sad. It just is what it is. You just don't see that guy for a couple days. But if you're walking down the street and out of nowhere your buddy just slips and falls on his ass, but like he's fine, it's hysterical. You know? Like there's a humor element to it. And that's why, I don't know, like maybe that's just how it works in my head. Like that's why sickness is so much worse. Because when it's not that big a deal, it gets no attention, and who gives a shit? Like there's no positive spin on it. But when it goes bad, it's the worst thing. It's the worst thing in the whole world. And it's the same with falling. You know, like when somebody falls, you're like, oh wow, that, like, you know, you laugh hysterically until you realize that they're hurt. And then you're like, this is serious. It's not funny anymore. But COVID doesn't have that. There's no, oh, you got a mild Omicron or whatever, and so it's hysterical. But you see what I'm saying? So, I don't know. Well, I guess what would be the misinformation if there was an epidemic of people falling? You know, you really don't need to wear the shoes. The government wants you to wear the slip-safe shoes. But listen, if you're young, the slip's not going to hurt you. If you're a young, healthy individual, you know, you take your vitamin D, you go on runs, you know, you keep your immune system up, you lift weights, the fall is not going to hurt you. You're going to slip, you'll get right back up, you know? Maybe maybe your butt will be sore for a few days. You're going to be fine. But it's like, yeah, if you're an older person or you're like severely overweight, yeah, you should get the shoes. You should get the shoes. You know what? The only part of this analogy that doesn't, or, you know, comparison that doesn't work is the viral aspect of it, I guess. You can't give a fall to anybody. Well, I guess maybe you could. Maybe in this scenario, somebody, if you get within 6 feet of them, they could make you fall somehow. You know? Like there was just something that compelled the person to trip you. So you had to stay 6 feet away. But it wasn't every person. You just didn't know who it was going to be. That's the aspect. That's the same aspect of COVID. You're like, well, I don't know if they could have COVID. And then with the trip thing, maybe they have they have the thing where they want to trip me. I don't know. And then you'd have people be like, even if it's mild, I don't want it. So I'm going to wear the slip shoes just in case he trips me. I know for sure that I'll be fine. You know? And wearing the shoes also makes, you know, I can't trip anybody when I have the shoes on, let's say. That seems to be an equitable world with the world of COVID, right? And then you'd have the people be like, dude, I'm dying to get tripped. Because once you get tripped, you're good. You can only get tripped like once, maybe twice. It's very rare to get tripped twice. You see what I'm saying? I think I'm on to something here. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there is a point that I'm trying to make. I think I'm just pointing out that I wish we had an epidemic of people falling, because at least there'd be a humor aspect to it. You could joke about it. You can joke about the fact that people fall down and hurt themselves, or maybe don't hurt themselves. You can do it even though people die from falling. You can make fun of it when somebody falls. You know what I mean? Like you see somebody trip and fall and you start laughing at them and making fun of it, and then another person was like, hey man, my grandmother fell and died. That the person who said they'd be the fucking buzzkill. You'd be like, all right, Jesus, he just fell. Calm down. You know? I wish that's how it worked. But it's not, you know? So what the fuck do I know? But yeah, he really is getting vilified. I feel like a lot of the people that are mad at Joe Rogan are not actually listeners of his podcast, but that's kind of how it is with everything. You know, people just jump on board with everything. But like I said, if they don't remove him, I will remove my podcast from the platform. You know, because I just won't have it. I just won't stand for misinformation. If you guys are mad that, you know, he's talking about COVID and is not informed, If you're worried about being informed, everybody who leaves Spotify because of Joe Rogan, if you subscribe to my podcast, literally the next 5 episodes, I will just read the CDC website, just to bump these numbers a little bit. Your boy needs a hit. So that's the deal. I will read the CDC website in all its glory. And I will make a donation to Anthony Fauci. I will, there are many things. How about you'll get to pitch in. The first 100 people that subscribe, they will get to pitch ideas for the show. If you want me to read the CDC quarantine and isolation, here we go. When to stay home. This is what the podcast will be, okay? If that's what you're worried about. If you want a place to come to for the right information. Also, dude, CDC website is fucking boring, huh? CDC.gov? Dude, it needs some flair. They should design it with like Squarespace or something. They got some good templates in there. I mean, this looks like, I know kids that can probably like code a website better than this, right? Is that how you do it? Code a website? Like they got like this bullshit graphic on the front with like all these people, the most diverse looking group of people. You got a white lady with red hair. You got a white dude, brunette, black dude, sort of, ambiguous lady. Then a dude who looks maybe even more African, and then an old guy. It's like, just be like, hey, this affects everybody. Get your COVID-19 booster to increase your protection from COVID-19. Learn even more. I think you said it right there. Just boom. If you got something, get it, I don't fucking know. Dude, it is so hot in here. Kate just got done cooking a pot pie, and I don't know if she turned the oven off, but I am sweating. I'm a sweating. The fucking eating's been bad again, dude. I've been eating. Oh man, I went to the store yesterday, got a full sleeve of Pillsbury dough cookies. Did the whole. We cooked the whole rack. I was watching a lot of episodes of Great British Bake Off because it's a guilty pleasure. It is. It's a guilty pleasure, and I like watching people. I like watching people bake, and they're nice to each other. They're not screaming at each other. I get it. It's a good show. I enjoy it, and I was like, well, these people are baking. I want to bake something, and so I went and I got some Pillsbury dough. And you know what? Eating healthy is that's one of the things that they don't promote for the old Kofifi, do they? Do you see that video where the lady's like, how come they don't promote being healthy as a part of the treatment? And then the lady was like, well, if the CDC tells us that being healthy will work, then we'll definitely echo those thoughts. I was like, I don't know if we need their permission to say that, right? I don't know, man. I'm not a fucking expert. Dude, I hate experts. Fuck you and your expertise. There's only like a few disciplines where if you tell me you're an expert, I actually like give a shit, But then there's certain things, if you're a doctor, fine, you're like an expert on, I don't know if you can hear this in the background, but like, I think my neighbor's doing like fucking plumbing work or something, but there's like just things, I had to restart the episode at the beginning, but like, I don't know. They're putting a shower in or something, or he's doing fucking Zumba upstairs. I don't know what is happening. They're fucking having a lightsaber battle with PVC pipes or something. There's a lot of clanging and banging going on. Anyway, like people are experts on stuff like trivial shit. That's what bothers me. Like when someone says they're a movie buff, I'm a movie buff. I just like really know movies. Dude, shut up. Shut up. They always try to impose their expertise on you when you weren't asking for it. You know what I mean? And the movie things, that's even worse because it's really all just your opinion. There's not even like, even if you major in film, it's like at the end of the day, it's art, right? So I don't know how you're your rendition or your take on it is any different or it's any better than anyone else's. You know what I mean? And they always have to tell you how, like, certain things. Oh, well, you know, Fight Club, it's actually, did you know that it's, like, actually about, it's about, like, you know, man's search for meaning and, like, you know, midlife crisis, and how that clashes with our love for corporate structure and brands, and how we're all obsessed with brands, you know. It's like, dude, you're ruining the fucking movie for me. You know, what if I watch it? What if my takeaway is it's just about this, you know, this guy, and he has like this shit life, and so he starts fighting people and he feels better. If that's my take, I'm not wrong. You're not any more right than I am just because you've some weird, deep meaning. They always have to like see a fucking meaning behind, you know, something else. They'll be like, well, do you know when Harry Met Sally it's actually like a stark commentary on the rape of Nanking? Did you know that? Did you know that When Harry Met Sally is actually a stark commentary on when Harry? Did you know? Dude, shut up! Shut up! What are you talking about? They always like have to find. Well, like clearly when Sally's crying, I mean it's obviously representing the angst and the fear of the Chinese people in the 1930s. I mean it's right there. It's right there. It's right there. Well, you're the expert, right? It's like, why is that the case? Because you said it is? Is that why I'm supposed to believe it? You know what I mean? And that's what the Avengers is about. The Avengers is actually about corporate America and how they, you know, take over and invade new spaces and buy up all the land. Dude, shut up. Shut up. I want, like, oh, man. I like know one person particularly who's just always like that. And, like, he's a friend of mine, too. But, like, when he starts getting into movies and stuff, it's just overwhelming. Because you're like, dude, you don't know what you're talking. I don't care that you majored in film. What you're doing right now is you're trying to just shoehorn in your film knowledge to justify the fact that you went to school and paid fucking, you know, $70,000 for a degree that doesn't. And listen, I went to school for theater. I'm right there with you. Okay, I feel dumb that I went to school and for something like that, but I don't try to fucking put it on everybody else. At every waking moment or anytime somebody else tries to enjoy a movie or be like, actually, I saw it like this. And you're like, well, you know, actually. And they only do it with movies. Like, I don't know. Those people, like, they need to see the deeper meaning. Like, I wonder if they walk around in their normal life and think about other shit that way, you know? Go to fucking Olive Garden and try our unlimited soup salad and breadsticks. Oh, well, obviously, this is a stark commentary on the dangers of inflation. I mean, that's clearly what unlimited soup salad and breadsticks, it's right there. It's all right there, you know? Because when inflation happens and the value of the dollar doesn't mean anything, you know, money doesn't mean anything. You can have unlimited of it and it's still, you know, it doesn't do anything. And it's the same thing with unlimited salad. You could have as much as you want, but you'll never be satiated. Boom. You know? It's clearly about fucking inflation. Everyone's just got to shut the fuck up and either listen to the thing or not listen to the thing. Or, you know, somebody asks you a question, then you can answer it. Everyone just mind their own goddamn business. Everyone just has to mind their own goddamn business. Nobody does that anymore. Everyone's poking around everybody else's shit and then getting themselves upset. You know? They're getting themselves upset. Ugh. Dude, speaking of poking in other people's business, I was at the grocery store and, you know, I only got a few things. I got some strawberry jam. I got the cookies. You know I got the cookies. And I got some cereal. I just wanted to get some cereal. I was having a guilty pleasure day, whatever. What can you do? And I bring it back up, and I got some Frosted Mini Wheats. Don't judge me. I don't know. I was feeling nostalgic. Haven't had them in a while, so I bring them up, and they were on sale. It was another reason I got them. It was all Kellogg's products on sale for $2.99. And so I bring it up. She rings it, and it's like $5.49. And I'm on a budget, so I'm like, listen, I saw that the Kellogg's were on sale for $2.99. That's what it said back there. And so now she starts getting all flustered. She's like, oh, let me check it. Is that on sale? And so she like calls over a fucking minion, and he's like, what? And it's right down, like our register is in line with the aisle, with the cereal aisle. So he's just got to go straight back. It's right there on the left. I mean, you can't miss it. Also, he's probably the one that put it up there, right? So he goes back, and he starts just like, I could see him just like staring at the cereal, and he has like one arm up in kind of like this, but like, I don't know where this is. Like, where is he seeing this? And I'm starting to get upset because I'm like, I don't know how you don't see. I mean, there's just it's not even like you have to look for the one cereal, the Frosted Mini Wheats. It's all Kellogg's. It's all Kellogg's is on sale. And there's a sign. There's only so many sale signs. It's not like all the cereals on fucking sale today. There's only a few on sale. And it was for $2.99. All Kellogg's. Boom. Frosted Mini Wheats. It's a Kellogg's product. What are we doing here? And he's back there for like a few minutes. And so now this old guy starts to funnel in the line. He sees I only have 2 items now in front of me. So he's like, oh, boom, this will be a fucking breeze. Starts to unload his stuff, right? And now I just saw the next few minutes just unravel before it even happened. I'm like, I know what's about to happen. The guy's going to just stay back there and get confused. And then this dude behind me, I mean, this is what happened. Like, he starts to get a little flustered. As he's putting stuff up on the counter, he starts to look ahead. She's like not ringing stuff up anymore, but also not giving me my receipt and me not leaving. So I can see him start to fucking huff and puff about this. And I'm just looking straight ahead at the lady because I don't want to look at him because then he'll think that it's my fault when it's not. So I'm looking at her, but then I get so frustrated. I'm like, how is this guy not found it yet? So now I'm looking down the aisle to look at the guy who works there, but it also looks like I'm looking at the guy who's unloading shit behind me. And so I said out loud, I'm like, it's right on the left. I almost went down there and found it for him, but I was like, no. It's not that hard. It's right there. Also, that's not, that's not my job to do that. My job is to go in and pick the shit out, which I did. And listen, I'm not one of those guys who's like, that's not my job. Like, I don't say that. I do the job, but I only do it when I'm employed at the place, okay? If I'm employed at a place, I'll do other people's jobs. I don't give a shit. But I don't work here, And so I see this guy just getting flustered, and now the guy behind me unloading his shit goes around me to the part of like the checkout where the person would be bagging if there was a bag person, and now he's looking at the screen to be like, what's the holdup? And so he sees on the screen that there's a Kellogg's Frosted Mini Wheat rung up for $5 whatever. And there's no Kellogg's thing here. So I think he starts to piece together what the issue is. And then he goes, it costs $5.49, right? And he starts like, in a fucking cunty way, just starts pointing at the screen like, it's $5.49, right? That's the price? And I was like, no, it's cheaper. It was on sale. He's like, it says it's $5.49. And I'm about to fucking lose it. But I didn't. I fucking receded. I was like, you know what? Just forget about it. Just give me the jam and the cookies. Forget about the cereal. I can't even believe that I have to say this, but forget about it because the guy 30 feet away from me can't see the fucking sign. Could I have walked down there? Could I have walked there? Yeah, I could have pointed it out to him. I could have brought the whole fucking sign up to the register, but I didn't out of principle. Even though I know me withdrawing from my Kellogg's from the purchase, I know it's not going to make a fucking dent. But I was like, you know what? I'm doing it out of principle because this is fucking ridiculous. So I had her void it, and I left there with just the other shit. And I walked out. And you know what? The whole walk home, I fucking hated myself for doing that. I got so upset. I was like, no, you were in the right. You should have got your fucking cereal at the price that it was listed instead of walking home. And you know what? That night I wanted cereal and I didn't have any. I couldn't have any cereal, because of the fucking morons that. But I mainly didn't do it because the guy behind me was putting pressure on the register lady and then subsequently putting pressure on me to, like, move it along, even though there was nothing I could do and there was nothing she could do. She's not going to leave the register abandoned, It was just this fucking guy who felt like he was like, no, I'll figure it out. Yeah, okay, yeah, do you fucking work here, you moron? No. So just sit back there and be patient or go to another fucking line. Shit makes me so aggravated. Anyway. Oh, that was a doozy, huh? That's the podcast. I'm like worked up a sweat. That's the podcast this week. I'm exhausted. Yeah, like I said, Spotify, you'll have 10 days to comply. Otherwise, I'm out. Yeah, hope you have a good week. We have another Yarbar comedy show this Wednesday. Come on out. Still a bunch of tickets left. We got Sean Donnelly, Sarah Tolomash, fucking a bunch of other people. It's going to be a good show. It always is. It's always a good time. Haven't had one complaint, but then again, people don't complain to your face. So, yeah, that's the podcast. Have a good week. Peace out.